So what a magical night last night to be sort of parked up here with a reindeer on the beach next to us. Was incredible and kind of made up for a lot of the disappointment we've had about not seeing wildlife on the rest of the trip. Definitely. Not chewing, by the way, I got a mint in my mouth. So we were going to go up to the North Cape today, but after reading about it again, I think we're not going to bother. It's kind of not what it purports to be, really, and it's going to be like a 4-hour drive out of our way round trip. So I think we're going to head across instead and see where the road takes us. So tonight's park up is in the awesomely named Hammerfest, which I got very confused. I thought there was a rock festival here, but that one's in Birmingham apparently, weirdly. But yeah, 300 kroner for the night, which is about £27, something like that. That's with electricity, free Wi-Fi that doesn't work, and black and grey waste disposal as well. So, and fresh water tomorrow. So not that bad really. Yeah, so we're going to have a wander around. Steph just made an interesting point. She said, it's quite an ugly town. I said, well, it has been burned down to the ground pretty much 3 times. Us Brits did it during the Napoleonic Wars. Oh, we like to make our mark, don't we? Fair play. Hitler did it. Another man with imperial ambitions, funnily enough. And it also burned down by accident, unfortunately. But then Steph said, oh well, I didn't have to build it ugly when it came back up though. So,
yeah, it's true, isn't it?
I suppose so. Yeah, it's a weird thing because it's like partially really modern, partially kind of 1970s. That's quite a good example right behind us there, actually, those 2 buildings. Representative. But yeah, it's a town though. Apparently it's coming into its own a little bit because there's been a lot of natural gas discovered offshore, so there could be some sort of like serious money running through here as a result of that. So it's quite warm sort of today. We haven't got like hoodies on, but it's only because it's clouded over. But we are still well north of the Arctic Circle here, and this, one of the reasons we came here is that Hammerfest is apparently brilliant. Right on cue again. It claims it's Norway's most northerly town. So.
Oh yeah. So we've obviously been up in the north quite north for a few days now. So every night been looking out for the northern lights. Last night I was waking up about every hour and looking out the window because it was perfect conditions last night. There was a couple of little clouds in the sky, but apart from that it was completely clear. And obviously we were quite far up, weren't we? Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, we didn't have any northern lights. We did have what looked like a sunset the entire night.
Yeah, so, nice sunset at 2:30 this morning, which was
so I did take a photo to show you. It's not very good because it was out of my window, but yeah, it was very pretty, but it wasn't the northern lights.
Yeah, so quite a curious place, Hammerfest. So apparently, if you go back in time about 100 years or a little further, it was a very well-to-do place indeed, and apparently was the first place in Northern Europe to have electric street lighting. And I think it had a fairly wealthy sort of set here, but I think it said in the guidebook time hasn't been particularly kind to it. And like I said, not least for the fact it's been burnt down 3 times, twice through acts of war and once through pure accident really. But you know, it's such a beautiful setting here, and it's a unique sort of place in some ways, really, being so high up. So yeah, surprised they haven't made more of that really, and made it more about sort of its location and stuff, especially for the tourist age. we've just done all our chores here in the motorhome stopover in Hammerfest. Now we're heading back down, so we're actually going to be retracing our steps for the next 600 kilometers or so before we get down towards Narvik. Luckily it's a beautiful road, so it's no great hardship, but yeah, going back on ourselves probably for the first time on this trip so far.
So tonight's rest stop is next to a fjord and a nature reserve. So Chris is a bit knackered, he's been doing loads of driving the last few days. So me and Chili just going for a bit of a wander. Bit of bird watching, I think. Look at these mushrooms though. Nice. Not a bad view. The great thing about doing a walk, which is kind of next to a river, feeding into a fjord, is it's nice and flat. Yay! Oh, tree adventure course. Okay, that's probably enough before I hurt myself. I'm not sure how close we are to a hospital. How cool is that though? No health and safety measures, just get on them ropes, those slippery ropes and logs. Fall off, break your neck. No helmet required. Gotta love it in Norway. And look at this I've just found. Huge, like barbecuing area. Awesome. Honestly, UK, you could definitely learn something from Norway. So we just congratulated ourselves with a high five because we had to fill up on LPG and we did it ourselves with no help and it worked. We've done quite well with LPG. We haven't had to fill up since Sweden.
No.
And that came to about 150 NOK.
Yeah, so around about 12, 13 quid maybe?
Yeah, about 13 quid. Obviously we haven't had the heating on, but we have been using it for cooking and heating water, so I think that's done really well, to be honest.
Right, so we're back on the ferry. So the last few days have felt a little bit like Groundhog Day, haven't they? Yeah. So I got very excited the other day because we were coming down the E6 and I really felt like we'd got a fair amount of the journey behind us. And then I saw a sign then which said that Trondheim, which is still, it's not far, it's quite north, you know, Trondheim, it was 911 kilometers away. So yeah, that like took the wind out of my sails a little bit. So yeah, a bit like Groundhog Day. It's a little bit like driving down the motorway at home, although if the motorway was like surrounded by mountains and cool stuff. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
And also the route that we're taking on the way back down is different to the route we took on the way up.
Yeah, intentionally. So
we'll be seeing new stuff.
Yeah, weather's been a bit dodgy as well. So you know, it's been a bit of a slog, but we're treating ourselves tonight. But more on that later. Yeah, just got about 3 hours driving before we get where we're going.
So we actually decided last night to stay in a cabin. So this is our little abode for the next couple of nights.
Yeah, we managed to trash it already, as you can see.
Yeah, trashed. We need to do some washing. So yeah, it's on the dryer rack just outside the door. Some lovely views out here as well. There. Area to sit, and we've got a nice little kind of shower area as well. Yeah, so sometimes I think when you're in a van, it's just nice to have a little bit of extra room.
So we've just driven a couple of hours. Our batteries are now quite a bit recharged after our stop in Faust.
In the little cabin.
In the little cabin. And we have stopped here because this is the Arctic Circle Centre. So this is where we will cross back below the Arctic Circle. Now, obviously when we went up, it was by ferry, so we didn't sort of get any of the regalia attached to it. So we're going to just take Chile for a wander and then have a look in the little centre then. So I'd say I've got mixed emotions crossing back over the Arctic Circle, because like all of Norway's been an adventure, but going north the Arctic Circle felt like a bit more of a expedition. I don't know, exploring kind of thing. It's obviously less populated up there. The culture changes, the sort of landscape changes. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Not sad to be going back, so it's funny really. I guess it's because I know we've got a long way to go home still, and we're on the clock now kind of, but so yeah, it was mixed emotions, like I say really. So we're in Formofoss Nature Reserve. Steph found this one on park for a night. There's a nice little car park there, really secluded. You know, probably only about a mile off the E6 here, but you're tucked away really nicely, so there shouldn't be any noise. The other plus side of that is hopefully we'll see some wildlife as well. We're just doing the little sort of circular walk through the area at the moment, which is this lovely forest. There's a lot of history actually underneath it, but yeah. Another long day driving today. It's been like that most days at the moment, but yeah, we're on the clock now. We're heading back. We've got a time and a date for our ferry from Sweden to Denmark, and yeah, only about a week and a half left. So a very quiet night, very peaceful. Didn't see any elk, unfortunately, still, so still working on that. no moose so far on this trip, but heading a little further south again now. We've probably got about a week, well, it is a week until we catch our ferry. We're going to stop off in Lillehammer and Oslo as well, and visit another Viking place as well. So yeah, down we go. So at this point our camera decided to stop recording audio, so I'll leave it up to you to decide whether audio is better without my face attached to it. But the road took us further south now, and we head to the Olympic town of Lillehammer. So this is another awesome parking spot right next to the ski jump centre from the Winter Olympics in Lillehammer. 140 NOK a night, or about 13 quid if you prefer. What a great spot. Not only having the ski centre next door that you could just go and wander around in if you fancied while it was open, you also had lovely scenic views over the town of Lillehammer as well. So when we were wandering around the ski slope, we were asking ourselves, like, where do these people train in the summer? Well, we got the answer next morning. These lunatics were chucking themselves off the ski slope onto grass and artificial grass. Good luck with that. So I'm not sure this is what people would want to hear from a cultural perspective, but the real reason I wanted to visit Lillehammer was because it was the home of the excellent Netflix show Lillehammer, which has got this weird mob out of fish out of water story. Really worth a watch if you haven't seen it. But the town's really charming. It's really pretty in parts as well. Really worth a visit. And I promise you, Steph's not drunk in that picture. I might have caught her in an opportune moment. So after leaving Lillehammer, we headed a couple of hours south. Now this was partially down a road we'd already travelled, but to her credit, Steph only mentioned this 42 million times while we were driving down it, so I thought that was, she showed good grace there. But we headed to the Midgard Viking Centre, which is in Borre. And this is a cool place. It's like a big reenactment place. I couldn't walk around the whole place at the time because they were doing some filming for a movie, which was quite exciting. But it's also built next to a very famous burial ground site, so really worth a visit. So, after leaving Borre, we head up about an hour and a quarter to Oslo. And we actually intentionally bypassed Oslo when we came into the country. A couple of reasons. We'd been to a few cities recently, and also the main reason I wanted to visit Oslo was the Viking ship museum, which I'd learned had then been closed because they're rebuilding it, so it's not open for another 4 years, and I was in a bit of a pout, to be honest. So after heading into the city just for a couple of hours the night we got there, we head in for a bit more of a day of it the second day. First up for me was the excellent Viking Planet. So that was well worth a visit. The Viking Planet was awesome. Everything digital, nothing practical there, no actual artifacts, but really good, really interesting, really engaging. About 20 quid to get in, so not the cheapest, but yeah, really good experience. And for me, importantly, there was a virtual tour of the Viking ship museum, which I can't get into, so yeah, that was the icing on the cake, really. Then, while Steph and Chili were sunning themselves in the Queen's Park, I went to the Culture Historisk Museum, easy for me to say, and yeah, there was mummies and cool stuff, but what reason have I got to go there? An absolutely awesome, small, but big hitting Viking exhibition. After that, we took a walk across town and visited a couple of awesome craft beer places. First up was Brewgata. The people here were absolutely lush. They were great, and definitely recommend it if you're in the area. Then it was a trip to Henry and Sally's, where I finally got to taste some Marla Bobo mead. Steph's just topping up the water. So our stop in Oslo for the last couple of nights was the Sjolist Marina. It is dedicated motorhome parking. It was like 15 minutes cycle into town, which was excellent, and that's fairly level as well. And by town I mean like you're right in the town centre by the Parliament and Radhouse in town. Yeah, it was expensive, 450 NOK per night, which works out around about £40. Facilities, Wi-Fi was non-existent really. Electric, they kept putting up a warning saying it was unstable, which was interesting. Showers and facilities, basic, but you know, nothing to sort of write home about. But it is parking right in the middle of a city centre. We looked at hotels. The reviews of this place were poor actually, and we were looking at hotels. You're looking easily £200 plus for a hotel for one night at the moment. So yeah, 40 quid a night, that close to the town centre, you can't really argue with that.
So we've just come over the border from Norway to Sweden, and yeah, quite sad to be saying goodbye to Sweden, to be honest.
Which is weird because you say hello.
Quite sad to be saying goodbye to Norway. We've been there for about 6 weeks, and yeah, what an amazing 6 weeks. We've seen all sorts of different scenery. Wow, yeah, really cool. I actually really like Sweden, Denmark, Germany too, so yeah, we've got about a week now before we've got to go home to the UK, so yeah, we'll make the most of it. So another thing, we're pretty sure that Norway hasn't got any moose.
Yeah, Wikipedia, you liar. Signs everywhere, lies upon lies upon lies.
So when I googled how many moose are there in Norway, there was something like 150 to 200,000 moose. Lies. All lies.
Now we did see moose. Unfortunately, I think we saw 3 in total, but unfortunately all of them had been through the hands of a taxidermist first. So that really wasn't what we were looking for, to be honest.
Yeah. So no moose.
So sadly, after 3 months on the road pretty much, this brings us to the end of our Norway road trip. I really hope you've enjoyed coming with us on this trip as much as we've enjoyed taking it. One thing I know for sure is we will definitely be returning to Norway. It's such a huge country, there are so many sort of contrasts about it, but one thing's for sure, it is worthy of every bit of praise that it gets from people. Anyway, thanks very much for watching as always. If you've enjoyed, I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe, we will be making future content. We are travelling around our work. Our work is pet sitting back home in the UK, so we don't have proper jobs, thankfully. But yeah, stay tuned, we will be back with more adventures soon. Take care, thanks very much, bye bye.